D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So I finished Orville, season 3, episode 3, and I liked it. I have to say, though, I think that out of all the episodes, this one was the weakest, and it was a lot longer than it needed to be. But at the same time, I did like it because I was very interested in the whole mystery of it all. It felt very like Star Trek Q, like, like what's going on here? Like, what is this all about and everything? Um, yeah, and then like, the result was, a talk about, mortality and everything, which was okay and everything. I'm not dissing on the show or anything, although it might sound like that. But I did like this episode. I really did. I do like this show. I just think it's so refreshing to get a show that's what I personally hoped Star Trek would be, and then we get New Trek, and New Trek is Strange New Worlds is starting to grow on me, but all the other stuff has just been so bad that I'm jaded. Like even Orville, I'm like, oh no, I'm afraid it's gonna get bad, and then I'm gonna be upset because I was looking forward to it and everything. But no, I did like this episode. I thought it was very good, and we're gonna go through it and everything. And it's a lot of like action, which I enjoyed. They were there, less talky and more action, which is not bad. But sometimes the talking part, they always, and they do talk towards the end and talk about like like evolution and all that stuff and a bunch of other stuff we'll get to when I get to it. Sorry, I needed some caffeine. But before I get started on all that, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we always get shoved to the back of the line. So please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. So now that I've gotten that business out of the way, let's get started on breaking down this episode. So it starts off with the Orville, obviously, and a shuttle is coming back. And so it parks itself into the shuttle bay, and it's Tala, Kaylee, and everything. And she's walking to the ship, and she heads over to Grayson's quarters. Sorry, I've got some like phlegm in my throat and everything. And she's happy to see her and everything. She's like, how was your vacation and everything? She's like, it was good, but my dad's, he's a little crazy and everything, parents. And she's like, yeah, for you to get back to work. She's like, get to it and everything. So they're flying through space, and they're eating chocolate from her planet. And she's like, this is the most densest chocolate I've ever had. And she's like, heavy planet, heavy desserts or whatnot. And Bortus is all like, none for me. We're going to some beach on their planet. I can't remember. Sorry, and I didn't write it down. I apologize. And he's like, and Gordon says I need to have my beach or summer bod. He's all like, you'll thank me. So then Isaac, he's getting readings from Naboo 1. That's not the name of the planet, but I didn't write it down. Shoot. Sorry, you guys. Which is normally the planet has no readings on one side. It's just a desolate planet, and there's no live readings on it. They, more than one ship has taken scans of it, and they've never gotten anything but just, it's just a rock in space kind of thing. But this time they're getting readings from it, and she's Burke is all like, what and everything. So they change directions and they go to the planet, and they're getting like there's readings of forests and everything and all this stuff. So they decide they're going to go down on the planet. They're going to take a shuttle down to the planet. So these 5 go, and everything's weird because there's trees and it's very lush and everything. It's normally just a desert planet kind of thing. So they land, they're doing these readings, they're getting readings of beings. Lamar's all like, we read you, Captain, kind of thing. So then they go through the woods, and they find an American high school and just, and they're all like, what? And everything. Now, as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those, I immediately thought of Q from Star Trek. Like, I was just like, oh, it's going to be one of those kind of episodes. And I was like, which they're always fun, a little kooky, but fun. And this one was a little kooky, but fun. So they're all like, a high school and everything. And they're like, yeah, and everything. So they go in. Once they get in, they realize they can't leave. Like, they try to shoot out the windows and everything. So they go through and, like, kids come out and they're just walking through the hallways. They ask, what year it is and everything. People think they're just crazy. So the ship loses them. They can't find them and everything. And Burke is questioning Isaac at every moment, because she doesn't like him, because, the Kalons, killed her friends, or her friend or whatever, and, a bunch of the other people. But they're just like, okay, so they can't find the team, so they're going to send the doctor and everything. So they split up, and these guys go there. They go into this teacher's classroom. They're trying to find a way out. Well, these two get separated from Gordon, and these bullies bring him into the bathroom. They're like, "You owe Riley, I think it's Riley, money. Give us the money." He's like, "I don't have the money. I don't know who Riley is." And they beat him up and everything. Give him a swirly, not really swirly. They just drown him in the toilet, and I was like, "Ew." Yeah, as someone that was bullied in high school, I totally understand Gordon's thing, except they're like, you owe him money. I was like, I don't know. He's like, listen, I don't have the money on me. I'll get anything. They're like, you got till 3:15 or you're going to face Riley and everything. So they're saying I owe money. So they're like, well, let's go find out who Riley is and what we can find out about him. So they go into the thing, and this mean girl is all like, he's like, may we sit here? And she's like, no. And he's like, why not? And she's like, the table's full. And he's like, there are seats available. And she's all like, not for you. And Gordon tells her that she has a 5 head. Which, yeah, she's got a 5 head. Bummer. So they sit down with these, geeky kids or whatever. And they're like, do you know Riley? And they're like, do we ever? And they're like, he says he owes me money. And they're like, just pay him the money. It's better if he hangs out behind the bleachers kind of thing. So then the doctor and Isaac, they head on a shuttle, and they head down to the planet. So then they're going through this thing, they go to the thing, and they're like, where's Riley? And he's like, you found him. And they turn around, it's this big troll-like creature with an axe, and I was all like, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, oh, shoot, look at that. And so he attacks him, grabs Gordon and everything, and he's like, gonna eat him. He's like, and everything. And then while they're doing this, Gordon, his eyes go all crazy, zombified and everything. Just for a hot second. And they shoot him, and Kaylee, she goes over, she grabs this part of this bench, she throws it at him and hits him in the eye. Then they run, and they go back into high school, and they end up on this plane. And I was like, ooh, what's going to happen on this plane? So they're like, what is going on here? So the stewardess is like, can you guys please take your seat? And I'm all like, oh gosh, they're going to want one of those and everything. So they're sitting there, and then he's like, while that was going on, I felt apart, like I was not in my body kind of thing. So the shuttle goes down to the planet, and they land, and I thought these 2 red shirts were going to die, but they didn't. So they find the shuttle, but they can't find the crew, and they're just getting readings of a desolate planet kind of thing. Sorry. I need to get pumped. So they're on this thing, and Gordon's all like, hey, if you could tell the pilot, I'm also a pilot if they need help. And she's like, I'll let them know. And I'm all like, oh, so condescending. I hate her already. I hate her so much. So he's like, hey, it's really weird that this plane, it's like when there's bouts of turbulence, it's like they're flying into the turbulence. And he's like, huh? So they go up to the captain's thing, they open up the door, and there's no pilot. So he's like, I'm going to fly this plane and everything. So he's like, get ready, because the engines went, and we're going to crash kind of thing. It's going to be a bumpy ride and everything. So while they're going down, the captain gets that weird eye thing. And I was like, what's going on here? And so they end up leaving the plane, and they enter this hallway. And when they did this, I was like, oh, this is something to do with Mocklas, with Bortus, because it's all red. And you remember his planet's all red and everything. Well, at least it's like normal, but it has a red filter and everything. So they go in here, and we find these egg-like shapes, and I'm like, ooh, what's that? And he's like, this is a Mocklas morgue. And I'm all like, oh. And he's like, why do you guys like lift them up? And he says that they give them 9 days so that their spirits can finish whatever it is that they need to do on, in this world. And then, yeah, before they bury them. I'm not sure. So this little panel comes up. She clicks it, and the pods open. And they're like, Bortus? Now, I can't remember. Is this supposed to be Bortus? Because I can't tell. I guess all Mocklans look the same. That was a joke. Calm down. So this Bortus, this dead Bortus, wakes up and grabs him by the neck. And he goes all wide-eyed and everything. So I'm like, what's going on here? So they leave, and there's this huge staircase, which kind of scared me because I was like, it's like a staircase above a bottomless pit and everything. It looks well made, though. So they're all trying to figure it out, and they can't figure it. They're not here. They're not here. It's really weird. So then they're going down these stairs, and they end up on Kaylee's planet. I can't remember what it's called. And she's like, this is Lake, whatever. They see a flashing light and everything, and they find a raft. So they're like, we're going to go on the raft. And these 3 go because the captain doesn't go because he's got that head injury or whatnot. So while they're doing that, this big like octopus-like thing passes their ship. As soon as I saw that, I was freaked out. I was like, oh no, see, like, I don't like water personally. Like, well, I like water, but I don't like lakes and stuff because like, I'm sorry, I don't know what's in that lake. Like, I've been in the ocean once, and I'm pretty sure something touched my leg, and I was like, I'm out. Yeah. So this big octopus-looking thing. So it grabs Grayson and pulls her under, and Kaylee swims under to get it and everything. And it's this big friggin' octopus with like glowy stuff and everything, and it's going to like and eat her and everything, and she goes all wide-eyed. Now, they get up there, and she's like, Kaylee's all like, yeah, I felt what you guys were feeling, and she's like, yeah, I felt it too. And I'm all like, they didn't show Kaylee's eyes. As soon as they did that, I was like, she got it and everything. They didn't show her eyes, but they showed everybody else's. That was when I got the clue. I was like, something's going on. And this big Lord of the Rings door opens up, and Captain's like, no, we're not doing this. We're going this way. We're going to wait for it. And they find this cave where they find this holographic machine and everything. So they end up destroying it, and they're back on the planet. They pick up all the pieces, and they head back to the Orville, where the doctor's like, your minds were neurologically tapped into and everything, yada, yada, yada. So you're all experiencing it, whatever. And they said that this was set up by the Kalons, and that this could be used as a weapon against, the Union. Why would we need to fight when we can just peacefully, like, destroy you? And they're like, we're going to have some ships come and pick up the pieces so that way we can study it and stuff and try to figure out what's going on. Sorry, I had something in my eye. So the convoy's coming up, and Isaac is all like, Captain, those are Kalon ships. Those are not Union ships because I'm not human, so I can't be fooled. And, of course, Burke is questioning him. And I'm like, you know what, Burke? I understand you don't like Isaac and you're questioning him, but come on, man. Like, how long is it going to take for him to prove himself to you? So he ends up being right because they run away and everything. And they start attacking, but they're outgunned and outnumbered and now all out everything. So then you realize that something's going on. This is fake because then back on the real ship, Lamar gets a hail from Kaylee. And she's like, hey guys, I've been sitting here for like an hour or two. Are you guys gonna pick me up or do you just not want me to come back? And they're like, what? You're with the captain. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he's all like, we picked you up hours ago, honeybee. What? And everything. So like, we're coming to pick you up. We'll meet us at Naboo 1. It's not what it's called, but whatever. Anyways, so then back on the ship, this Kalon ship is coming in. It turns around and it's coming in to ram them. Do a little kamikaze action. And right when it gets close, they're all like, see the eyes? The eyes, and then this little glow thing happens, and it stops, and the ship is right in front of it. I thought this was a very cool visual. This visual of the Kalon ship right before it hit the Orville. I thought it was a very cool visual. And then they all turn to Kaylee, and she metamorphosizes into this lady. And she's like, don't worry. And her name is Denal. And I just want to point out real quick, as soon as she popped up, my first immediate reaction was, Tron! She's Tron! She's Tron! that was my immediate reaction. I was like, but yeah, anyways. So, she's all like, Captain, would you like some tea? And they're like, no, thank you. And she's like, understood and everything. And then she, she's like, oh, we never left the planet. She's like, gold star for Gordon. I was like, don't. Gordon's my favorite character. Do not patronize him, you Tron hooker. So then she says, we've been watching you for some time. Don't worry, we're very discreet. But your significance to our past made you a logical choice, or at least a good one as good as any other. And she's from, if you remember, I believe it was season 1. So, Grayson, remember the planet that would come in and out of our spatial time or whatever, and every 11 days, and when it came out, it would advance 700 years. And remember, Grayson helped out that little boy when they were like in their, like she says primitive age, but I thought it was like medieval times kind of thing. And she helped out that little boy. She like healed him or whatever, like his hand. I'm trying to remember the details, but I didn't rewatch either season before this season, and I don't have time to, so I'm not going to, but I do remember that. Anyways, it started a religious thing where they worshipped her as like their goddess, and then like, stuff happened and kind of thing. Well, Denal is a descendant of those people. So she says, but your chronology, roughly 50,000 years of past has passed for us, and I won't bore you with the details. But your species, but to say the least, that we advanced. And then they're like, you advanced 5,000. You evolved 5,000 years, and she's like, and she talks about how she's like, evolved is an archaic term. In this case, evolution is blind and drunk. It's double as long. They stumble along by trial and error and emerges with a barely adequate excuse for being. No offense. And Gordon's all like, none taken. And then she says, long ago, we learned to take the reins of evolution and guide it with a greater efficiency. Let's just say things moved faster, a lot faster. And then the captain's all like, so you're immortal? And she's like, gold star for the captain. And I'm all like, stop being so fucking patronizing, honeybee. You're kind of annoying. But anyways. She says the cultivation of the mind becomes a lot less stressful when you don't have to worry about dying. And I was like, ooh, that sounds nice. And they're all like, we could have got hurt and everything. And then she said, she says everything you experienced was real. Because he says something about getting your existential rocks off and everything. She said everything you experienced was real. Think of them as custom-made micro-universes. Tailored just for you. The content was gathered from your own minds and culture databanks. And then it says, that's not what mattered. What did matter is that each of you experienced a moment when you thought you were going to die, and we were there to experience it with you. I apologize for a brief disorientation. That's what happens when you share a mind. Because she was the one, she jumped in their mind when they were, by those little white eyes, because they were experiencing death. And she says, and then she said, he's like, what's it feel like to be immortal? And she says, immortality has its rewards, but after a while, the drive to advance begins to atrophy. Once you've seen it all and done it all, and time has no worth, all that's left is idle play. And then they talk about, she says, we become complacent because none of us can conceive of our own mortality. That's why we had to see it through your eyes. And then they talk about how, Grayson's all like, if you poke a worm, you could still kill the worm. And she's like, you were never any real danger. I promise you that. And they're like, how did you, do all this kind of thing? And she says, you outgrew your gods and your nations as we did. You left your training wheels behind and you made it to the stars. Your next hurdles are really no different. You simply must outgrow self. These obstructions that you have for now, captain, explorer, husband, man, they are irrelevant. When you become one with the cosmos, and when you do, sculpting a universe will be as simple as blinking an eye. You're an interesting species. We'll meet again. And then she disappears and everything, and then they're like, Lamar, we're back. And he's like, oh, I missed you guys and everything. And then they're sitting here talking about it, and the captain goes, it's interesting, as far as beyond us, as those people are, there's one thing we have in common. Neither of us can fathom our own mortality. Now, I thought this whole conversation was very interesting also. We all know we're going to die, but it's impossible for us to visualize it. And then Gordon goes like, he starts talking about his funeral. He's like, I know it's gonna be a bunch of drinks and people talking about how they should have been nicer to me. He's like, I'm not talking about your funeral. I'm talking about your actual death. I mean, it's impossible. And then Grayson says, well, I guess it's just gonna be a big black void and everything, and we're just, gonna be, drifting into nothing kind of thing. And he says, yeah, but even in that scenario, you're still there as an observer, picturing that void. Non-existence is beyond our capacity to imagine. The only difference is they never have to worry about it. We do. Death is and then Borda says, death is a central part of life. It is a noble rite of passage. And then the captain says, sorry, I'm not moving along with this. And he says, yeah, hold on. He says, yeah, that's the conventional philosophical wisdom, but it doesn't work for me. Never has. And then Gordon says, you'd live forever if you could? And he says, yep. And he's like, why? He's like, I want to see what happens. And then, she gives him a smile and everything. And that's what, and it gets this wide shot of them drinking. And I was like, you know what? I would want to live forever also. I mean, I would want to see what happens. Like, I don't know about you. And I did like this heavy, like mortality and, death and all that stuff is a heavy subject, but I don't think that they tackled it as well as they did in that first episode with suicide. But I did like that they talked about this because it's so true. Like trying to conceive your own death and that whole I think about this sometimes and I'm all like, what's it going to be like? Like, is it just gonna be like a computer where we just power off and everything? And then again, like the captain says, I would want to live forever, not because I don't want to die. I mean, although isn't living great? Living is great. There's so many things. Like, I don't like the Orville. I love watching these shows and like, that's what I get excited about. And I'm like, ooh, what are they going to do this week? And, how crappy is this show going to be? And everything. And I love, I love stupid stuff. Like I love to sit down and read a book. I love the smell of paper. And it's all that little stuff that you're just like, and then you think about death and you just can't even conceive, like, what is it going to be like when you're just not there anymore? And I know some people don't like to talk about death, but yeah, I'm not even like I'm not a person I'm not scared of death. I just want to know. I want to experience. There's so many things that we don't get to experience. And I know this is such a little rant or whatever, but it's very interesting. And it brings up a lot of conversations and a lot of talk that I think that are just so this philosophical theological discussion that you're just like where does consciousness come from and everything, and where's your conscious go when you die, kind of thing. I don't know. I'm sorry about the rant. I'm sorry. Listen, but I did like this episode, even though again it was a little bit longer than it needed to be, but it still was fun. And I did listen. This episode was 10 times better than anything that Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Picard ever put out. So, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. All right, you guys, I'm going to just end here just because like I have nothing else to add to this except for my own little dumb rants and everything. But listen, tell me what you guys thought about this episode. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you think it was boring? Did you think it was, filler episode? It was kind of a filler episode, but I thought it was a fine filler episode. But yeah, tell me what you guys think. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys on my next Orville breakdown and review. You guys have a good day. Bye.